I'm Linda. I am a lawyer and my work is downtown. My husband, Cleon, is a health scientist. He works for Fraser Health. We have a 6-month-old son, Clayton. He's starting solids right now. And also my stepkids, so Cleon's 2 kids, Sion, who's 13, and Candice, who's 11, turning 12 soon, is with us for the summer. So It's a full house right now. My current role is I work for a small private firm in Vancouver. They also have a main Kamloops office, but our Vancouver outpost kind of does a pretty niche area where we represent banks and credit unions. Mostly, unfortunately, when people are defaulting on their loans, mortgages, we're the lawyers they have to deal with to kind of figure out a solution for their loans. Sometimes we have to go to court against them. So it's, especially during the pandemic, it was hard to see people struggle. Yeah. One of the things I find most affirming is that there is a legal process for dealing with things like this. And it's not just, the bank comes in and takes your home, but they have to go and get a court order, and it's not that hard. It's not that easy to fulfill that court order. You have to go through a number of steps. We actually have to go to court 3 times before the home is even sold. So contrary to a lot of TV, it's not just right away you lose your home. Oftentimes the bank doesn't even start legal processes until maybe 6 months to a year after you've defaulted, before we even get involved. So I think what gives me assurance is that, okay, we're all following the law, we're all following process, and people are given lots of notice, they're given lots of ways to kind of redeem their homes or come up with a payment plan, so that I find that, okay, if you're facing a crisis in your home, whether it's a health issue or a divorce or, the pandemic, that all that you've worked towards isn't going to just disappear. There are multiple actors in this process that will give you time to figure it out. And I think following the procedure and the law, that gives me life, because I'm a very okay, we've got to follow the rules. Yeah.
For sure.
And then there's also, just to add to that, there's a mechanism, for example, of people who, on the other side, who goes around and signs out lots of lines of credit and they don't intend to pay it back, that there is a mechanism for the bank to also recoup that, because that's a loss that then spreads to everyone else.
So you kind of see your role as helping to bring some level of justice here in terms of the work. Absolutely. So what does that look like in your current role? I mean, you're representing the banks.
Yeah.
Those usually are the people that are maybe have more power.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
What's your role representing the banks against kind of individuals?
Yeah, I definitely very cognizant of the fact that these large institutions have a lot of power over the little guy. And when we face our opposition, the other side, it's often self-represented people. So they can't afford a lawyer, they can't afford an advocate. So being cognizant of that, I then make sure that our dealings with them are, not just above board, but give them lots of time, lots of grace, lots of compassion, and also talking to our clients, the bank and the credit union, to say, look, this is the situation that they're going through. Don't think it's going to look good to a judge or your PR or whatever the case may be, that you're going to go after this person this way. Maybe we can work something out. And so we're always negotiating that between our client and the other side. And even though as lawyers we have a duty, of course, to our client's best interest, I find that there's a way to be that middle person that, while I'm not arguing for the person who owes the money, that side, I'm also making sure they're not being treated well, too bad. There's no road for you. So that's how I kind of see my current role to be that person that sort of mediates between the two and helping to balance that power, so that when we go before a judge to get a court order, we can say, look, we've tried everything to be fair and to be reasonable. Yeah.
You've talked a little bit about doing some board work as well.
Mm-hmm.
How does that fit into kind of what you see as your calling?
Yeah, so as we talked about, my work right now, my day job isn't exactly championing the little guy. So I wanted my volunteer time to be something that was more where my heart lies, and so I currently sit on a board for the New Hope Community Services Society. They're a refugee housing society here in Surrey. They own an apartment building and houses several families who are either refugee claimants or they're government-sponsored refugees that have already been approved. And they have 18 months to live with us, and there are residents advisors who are Canadian families that live in the building, and they help them with everything from how to bank to English lessons to how to register your kid for school, all those sorts of things that they need to start life in Canada well. And while we don't evangelize, the employees of the society don't evangelize directly, there's a lot of church groups that go and help and build relationships, and we hope that through that the love of Christ is shown to these families. And yeah, I find that very satisfying to be on board to help guide this society to increase its reach, and we're hoping to fundraise in the next few years to buy another building or somehow open more units to house more families, because as the pandemic restrictions lift, there's going to be way more refugees coming into Canada. And for me, that's a personal it fills a personal desire as well, because my family came as refugees in the early 90s, escaping communist China, and my parents converting to Christianity and not being able to go back basically to their jobs. So that, it kind of comes full circle for me as a child refugee and a child of refugees to be able to then help other refugees come to Canada.
Thanks so much for sharing part of your story with us today.
Yeah.
Really appreciated hearing from you.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.